out, you know what I mean?
So while I'm waiting on this thing to finish up, I think I need a new bandsaw. This one's, I mean, I just put a fresh brand new blade on it, but it just, man, it's taking a little while. It's a small tiny blade. It's schedule 10 304 stainless, so it's some thick, kind of tough stuff. Tack the V-bands on each side. I got them cleaned up. So V-bands are ready to go on. It looks like the plan's gonna be off the V-band and down, and then once it gets down, it'll be right about there probably, and then I can make one out, and then I can start making my turn around that. It'll be a straight shot over most likely. I'm gonna try and debating on whether I should go down and under and then back up. To kind of just keep everything from behind the radiator. I don't want it to come across the back of the radiator and worry about, you know, heat around the fan and shit and being too close, because it's gonna be like this. So if I put a decent sized fan on here, it's gonna be tight. So this side right here is gonna be the tough one, because I'm gonna have to V-band and then come down and try and come snake it up somehow. So I'm about to get the turbo out, and we're gonna try put the turbo up here. I'm probably gonna grab right over yonder, grab that, and I don't have a good spot to, like, here would be where it's supposed to go, and I don't want to set it here. I probably have to set it, sorry mama, probably have to set it right here, put a rag down, set it up here side to side, and then I can hang the turbo off of that, and it'll help kind of hold it, because the blocks, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it where I want it with the blocks. So we'll try that. We gotta figure out what we're looking like intercooler pipe wise, so it's gonna have to come out. I'm probably gonna have to pie cut some crazy shit and snake it up to the outlet of the compressor housing. So I'm gonna get the turbo yanked down, get my jig set up to hold the turbo. All right, so we got the old spinny boy on here. Got her hung off the fenders. It is still cutting that. I've got one out of it since the last time I recorded. So I've just got the starter piece and then the other piece. So I'll have to deburr them and whatnot tomorrow. Got the flange mounted. I still haven't figured out where I'm gonna put the wastegate at yet. This is gonna be the tough one. I didn't wanna have to buy 2 wastegates at the time. I didn't have the money to buy 2, so I bought 150, which is fucking huge. The plan was to either weld it to the housing right here, or somehow when these 2 pieces merge, I was thinking basically put those, cut them to where they go together like this, and then while they're, you know, split down the middle basically together, cut me a hole there, and I don't know if I'll be able to. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna get, it's gonna be a tough one, just even getting these 2 pieces to be happy. So I'm gonna have to trim off some edges probably. It's really close. Just figure out how I'm gonna place it. This is kind of gonna be a tough spot, because so if you look at the intercooler pipe coming out right there, that's gonna be the big dilemma. The dilemma is gonna be, how do I do my intercooler pipe? So it's all the way down in there. So I'm gonna have to cut off that flange that's on this and probably weld a coupler to it, and then probably gonna have to then come off of that coupler and make a snake basically to get it attached. And it's gonna have to be mounted about like this with this little bit of swing to it, so I can put a V-band here and turn the exhaust down and go down and out the back. Now if I can fit a 4-inch, which it looks like I can get 4 down there, I can take this V-band off, because then I can just weld a regular V-band onto it, and I'll be able to just run 4-inch pie cuts down, out, and then I can run it into maybe, I'm not gonna be able to find out a 4-inch cutout probably, but maybe run into a reducer, 3-inch cutout, and then run the rest 3-inch out the back. So the plan is though for this piece is V-band, and then I'm probably gonna snake around like that and try and come back in like this, if I have to, or I'll shove this down to where the outlet is down farther. But then it's gonna be a tough one, because of where it's located. I'm gonna have to get past this little inlet right here, or figure out a different radiator situation. But this one right here won't be bad to come across down. This one right here is gonna be a tight cut, so we'll work on more of it tomorrow. It's getting late. All right, so I got the flange cut off. Now I've got to make this turn, which in my eyes would be sharp pie, sharp pie, sharp pie, and then just pie it up and in, so it'll be like a crazy little like bending up. That should work. Still like, you know, decently below the hood. I got some more aggressive, a 15-degree cut coming out. This one's a 15 and a 9, so that'll give me more of an aggressive bend. So instead of being more like that, I'll be able to make a sharp turn. So just trying to get some different variants here. Probably gonna put the V-band right there, up here. So I'll probably put the V-band up here like that, and then pie out and down, try and go to the bottom, which should leave me enough room. Still got room below. Should leave me enough room to put a V-band and then a sharp pie down under and snake, hopefully what'll be a 4-inch under all of that. I'm working on making the brackets right here to hold the intercooler, so I can take my markers out, so that'll hold the intercooler at least up and out the way, and then start pie cutting. I'd like to pie a couple out of these and then see how it fits up in that. I may end up having to end on this one, because this little lip butts up perfect inside of the compressor housing. So we'll see when we get there though. I'd like to get this mounted first, so I know, okay, this sits here, it's gonna fits around everything else. Now let me merge everything back here and make sure all this is gonna work. I made some progress. I got the intercooler pieces done, mocked up, taped in place. I think I got this where I'm finally gonna keep it. I'm gonna have to take a big hammer, and this is just like a hollow piece, and hammer that down. So I'll smash that down some more, so there'll be some more room. Really needs to come that way some more. Yep. So there'll be more room to V-band and then pie cut down. There's still plenty of room down there like that. My worry is the return line. I don't want to run a scavenge pump, but I've got one if I need to. I'd rather just be able to run this thing down and into the pan, straight shot as possible. But right now, on the fence about the wastegate. Don't want to spend another $120 on another wastegate. I'm probably gonna have to buy another stick of Schedule 10. This I'll probably use for the wastegate. Like I said, I'm half tempted to put it on there and weld it onto the hot side. I'd probably have to massage some off so it would sit more like this. But that's what I would like to do. I'd like to put it on the hot side. I'm just kind of weary because I've never welded on something that's straight cast, and I don't want to fuck it up, but that's probably what I'll end up doing. I'll probably end up drilling a hole and hogging it out to fit this, and I'll probably put the wastegate probably be like that. So there we go. Probably be about like that. So I'll either probably spin it like so it sits, and then I'll probably run the wastegate tube over and down and follow the downpipe and just dump it back there somewhere. The downpipe's gonna be tricky. I've got 2 big sticks of 4-inch in the back. I just need to order a 4-inch V-band that I can cut this one off and weld on it. Still gotta figure out how I'm gonna brace the turbo. I'd like to brace it off the motor from here somehow. Here over, maybe I'll take some of that, go get some, like, I've got some almost 1/4-inch plate over there. Maybe I'll cut out a spot where I could come off, bend it, come around like down like this, and then twist it a little bit and be able to bolt it through that bolt hole right there, or weld it to it. And that'll just help give it some support so it's not hanging directly off of it. I wish I could get the turbo closer and like up more, or at least just closer, but it's just too big. This is where that 78-75 would really be like perfect, because that thing in here was tiny. The little 78-75 in here was just a tiny little thing. It would have been super easy to make everything work and weld stuff up. I wouldn't have had a problem with it, but I mean, I got an 80. I might as well put an 80 on it, right? All right, some progress. I had to change this up once already. Where it was, and I had it tacked before, nothing else was driving, nothing was gonna work, and I'm like, it needs to come this way a lot more. So we cut a couple pieces out, spun them around, retacked them back up. They're solid. I went ahead and I chopped the adapter. So this was a 4 to a 3. This isn't the right other side of the V-band for this, but it does clamp on and tighten up enough where I can use it for mock-up. So I've got it tightened up. I went ahead and tacked a 4-inch pie cut to it, even with the starter bolted up. So right now I'm waiting on some more pie cuts to come out so I can finish connecting these dots. I've got a swivel coming for this so I can pivot it downwards, and I've got the 90s for this so I can tap them and put 90s, so it'll come up, and this one will come up slightly this way, and it'll be heater hose up that way and around the back of the intake, and I'll wrap it in some heat wrap. I've still got to do this side, but I really wanted to get this all situated before I even started that side, because this is more intricate and more of a pain. I'll probably order another stick of that Schedule 10, get it coming. Back at it this morning. It's a lot warmer out today, very nice, but it's cold in the garage because it gets really cold out here at nighttime, and then it holds the air. It doesn't get warm like it does outside. So I got this next piece put together, got everything marked. I'm gonna go through and start tacking everything together, and then we will set it up in here, make sure it touches this properly. As long as it touches that properly, then we'll go ahead and put a tack on that and that while it's connected at the V-band. And then this side is done, and I can start working my way down. I feel like I'm gonna be able to get at least down to the bend right here, and maybe start this bend down, and then I'm gonna need another piece, and then I'll start working on the housing on the turbine, cutting it off. So let's get to work, get this tacked up. All right, got it done. It is a very tight squeeze. I'm not gonna finish weld anything until I get the other fittings for this water pump. So I've got a thermostat water outlet neck that swivels, so I'll be able to turn it down kind of. This will be tucked up under there, so it'll point more of this way, and I'll be able to get a hose out and down, a short hose hopefully. So far this all fits around that, but again, this is the wrong V-band for it, so it doesn't fit amazing. so got the hole drilled. I had to hold it in the press. I didn't think we were gonna get through, but I wasn't paying attention when I looked at it, and I didn't realize it's like a twin scroll, you know, split flange. So each bank basically comes in and feeds the turbo on its own section. It runs all the way through the split basically. So kind of made it a pain cutting it, but right now I'm just trying, because one side's a little, it's kind of center, but one side is like got a thicker spot over here, so I'm gonna have to just slowly keep cutting that way. A little more progress today. The wastegate tacked up. Got that side finished. Got this started. Tomorrow, what we're gonna do is I can run a small straight piece down, and then I'll make another bend. Then this flex joint will go down here somewhere in between. And I went ahead and slid the radiator over, which gave me a lot more room to not, because if it was over here where it's sat, it'd be like really close to this, and I'd be worried about melting it. So right now, I slid it over. I'll make a new mounting spot here and there to hold it, and it should be fine. I made a pretty kind of hefty bracket to go from that the water pump where the tensioner is, and I just kind of tack welded it to the flange, but I'll end up like welding it both sides when I'm done. I'll probably end up cutting that off to weld everything else, just depending. I was trying to make it to where it would bend and I could bolt it, but it was a pain, and my vise is bolted to the wooden table, and the more I beat on it, it's like pulling the wood off the table. It's like thick, like 2x6s or something, thick stuff. So got this done. Like I said, got a lot of stuff made. I ordered another stick of pipe. I got some more progress done today. That bandsaw's just over there just hobbling and hopping, and I don't know what's wrong with that thing. I think something internally balances off. I'm gonna start babysitting it. This is where I'm at so far. I want to I want to make this longer. I think I want to try and extend this farther down to where this is lower. Right now it's like right in front of the balance. There's enough room, but I would rather it be below the balancer if I could. That way if I had to take the balancer off ever I could, it wouldn't be a big deal. I don't have much left, but maybe a foot and a half of that. So got a pretty good ways out of 4 feet. Okay, so slow start today. So this is the driver's side coming down. All I had earlier was just this. I got home late, so I had some pockets already started. Then I cut a straight piece, so now this comes down, and it'll comes down around the power steering and starts to make the bend. So it's got a short distance to go. But as I was thinking, I'm like, man, like this is gonna be trying to fish that down from there, like, and fish it out is gonna be a hard thing to do when I've got to fish the rest of that out. So I'd like to be able to remove that without taking the turbo off. I ordered another V-band, another 2 1/4. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this pipe right about there probably. Put a V-band there, and that'll also drop this down more where I kind of want it. Probably drop it down about an inch and a half. And then I'll have a second V-band here where I can take off this section alone, and then that middle section, and then that manifold by itself also. Everything will be kind of separated a little bit easier, less to deal with. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld everything to the manifolds, V-band wise. I'll weld both V-bands to the manifold, this V-band, and then this whole pipe to the manifold. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this manifold and section off. So I want to make a secondary mount, and I want to mount it off the AC compressor bolt. There's one right here on the top because it's got 4 bolts top and bottom. I want to mount it off of that and come around this pipe, put it under the downpipe, and bolt to the bottom side of the housing. Let me get this. Don't want it to drop. My new V-band showed up also for the downpipe right here, so I'll cut this off of the turbo housing. This, of course, is going to have to start coming out from the bottom. It's not going to fit up to the top anymore once I start making it. It's not going to work that way no more. So I'll just lay that right there for now. But I will cut right here on the turbo housing and cut that flange off flush. Now we'll weld this one on, so that will probably put me about where it's at now with the other one. So, see the bolt I'm talking about right there? So that bolt, like I said, I'd like to come off that mount, somehow come around this, and I'd like to bolt it to that hole right there. That would be optimal. It's gonna be tricky, period, getting in here and getting this shit tight. It's gonna be fun. So a lot of random moving parts, whatever you want to call it, just a lot of crap in the way. Both manifolds finished up welding. I know where I've seen people talk about it before. You're supposed to, you know, preheat the cast iron up. So you preheat the manifolds up, or the housing on the turbine. So you preheat them up real hot, and then you want them to cool down slowly. So wrap them up in some welding gloves or something that can help hold the heat in and let it just cool slowly without really excessively cooling it with air or anything like that, to where it would kind of, I guess, shock it and cause it to maybe crack or something. This one right here is about done. Gloves are good and like warm. I might try and work on figuring out a way to make a bracket that can bend and then come around and make its way to bolt over there to help hold that side up. Right, so we're working on the Volvo. So took everything off, unbolted the brackets and stuff. I'll probably pull this off and weld the V-band on that also while I've got everything out and off. Ran some small beads all the way around it here and there. I'm gonna let it cool down, and then I'll go back across it again and finish it up. This, I'm working on the flange part, so I've got to weld it in two portions. Had to cut that part off, so I'm going to weld all the way around that, and then I'll sit this back on there and weld around that. Or no, that goes first, then that goes on, because I can't get to this back side right there. Can't get to the middle piece in between it. So I've got the V-band cut off of the turbo housing turbine, and it fits over like so. I left an edge, and this literally just slides over it perfectly enough where I could still, I'm just gonna run a weld on the inside. I'm not gonna try and weld a bead out here because there's not enough, and it would be, I'd have to like hold it up and do it at the same time. But I haven't welded that finished yet, so if I need to cut and move some stuff there, I can. So and then I need to go ahead and weld this to its new V-band. I've got it off the brace. There's no more brace. I've got the little brace that I've got bolted to the compressor, bolted to the housing, and between that and this thing is like solid. It's not going nowhere. Finished welding that. I don't know what I pushed. Hold on. Get you guys a better view here. But turned pretty good. I welded the inside of the V-band. I'll show you that when I pull the downpipe back off. I'm gonna have to probably try and spin this compressor housing, and I'll probably have to adjust some of these because it's kind of in there like a little bit twisted. I'd rather redo this aluminum than have to redo these pie cuts on this. I was just happy I was able to bolt everything up, and it didn't flex so much and twist that it was like all distorted and wouldn't get anywhere close to bolting up. And I was like, oh, thank God. Swivel came in today, so got that in. Got a hose that fits on the end. I got this off of an RX-8 that was at Pick and Pull. I got the matching radiator to it. This was an RX-8. No, this was on like some sort of weird 240. It was on a 240 that someone had already cut one of this end, I think, and left the hoses but took the radiator. But that end fits, and this end is snug enough that I could clamp it onto this radiator. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, and that should fit it down and around and give me the clearance I'm looking for. So I got 4-inch. I had to go get a new belt. This is the old belt. It was literally on the last string. It was just barely holding on. That one got cut into. That's what I had on here, and it was cut into it from the pulley so bad that it would, like, it had a low spot and it would bup, and it would shake this and cause it to shake and this thing to bounce. I had a 4 to 3 inch adapter that someone gave me, and it was like a 4-inch V-band to a 3-inch V-band adapter. So I cut the V-band off, and I'll smooth the rest of it down later, but for now it'll work to neck down 4-inch when I get down by the transmission itself. When I ordered this fitting, if you look, of course it doesn't tell on here, but if you look online at the part number I ordered, it says 1/2-inch MPT by 5/8 barb fitting. Part number matches what's online and what it says, but when I get it, it looks like 3/8 MPT, which is not the end of the world because that's already small anyways. I was gonna drill it and try and tap it for half, but we'll just get a 3/8 MPT tap. And I was doing a test on this water pump here just to make sure, you know, no issues pulling it apart or anything. So I was able to take a bolt washer, 24 millimeter socket, and then this nut right here, dude, this nut on the back side was the perfect size. It fit perfectly in this hole. So I just held it with a wrench, buzzed it off, and it pulled it right out. All right, so got my 19 mil different socket. I got a little, I'll show you when I get it out, I got a little aluminum spacer that fits perfect. Yeah, I think I started to suck the nut up in there. All right, so got another spacer on it. Slightly bending it up. Guess I need a smaller nut. I finally got a combination that worked. So I literally just took a nut, and the nut fit in there. I couldn't find a washer, couldn't find a socket, nothing, but the nut fit in there just big enough to grab the edges and pull it the rest of the way out. This is my only concern, is it fitting past each other. Like if I've got this one already in, I got that one already in, the small one swivel past it. Let's see. Just barely probably, so I think we'll be alright. So got downpipe kinda in there, mocked up. There's one on the end I wanna cut the spot welds off and spin it around to start to make the bend, because I've got it too far down to where it's like it's gonna really hang. So I got the last piece I measured, looked like it was gonna fit, had the right angles, fit in there nice. So now I'm going to unbolt this side of the V-band, this side of the V-band. I'm gonna tack all that stuff back up, bolt it back up, make sure everything's good before I pull this apart. And then I've got a weld back here, it's got some movement, I need to put a tack on it. Alrighty, just finished up the middle piece. Just looking pretty good. I'm not a professional, but turned out pretty good. I'm happy, that's for sure. All that hard work definitely feels good when you see something like this done. You're like, man, like it was worth, you know, all the cutting of the pie cuts and taping and everything. And it's like when you're younger and you cut grass, like when you get done, like it's fulfilling to look back at the yard and be like, okay, like it looked like shit earlier, looks 10 times better now. Same thing buffing a car, anything you do that you make a giant change or difference or make something look like it wasn't, you know, before. you know, satisfying. So now I just gotta, I'm gonna let it cool down, I'm gonna bolt it back up, make sure there's no movement or anything, and then as long as nothing needs adjusted here to make up a difference in movement, I'll go ahead and weld all this stuff up. Alright, so we got the downpipes. Everything fits good still. It's really close right in here, but it's also got some movement, so I might be able to prop it up and tack weld it. Or weld it, I mean, some more, so it don't move. But I've got the bends, I gotta cut some more. I've got the pie cut started down, so I think I should be able to turn and come out like this way, and I'll probably have to put the reducer somewhere right here. Crossover, everything still fits nice and good. Turned out pretty good. Surprisingly, everything turned out good. Had to go get more gas because I ran out, but everything looks good. Alright, so got the wastegate dump tacked up. It was getting hard to like try and tape and get everything taped under there, so I just went ahead and took it off, put my marks on it, cleaned it, and then tacked it all up in 3 little spots around it, so it's good and solid. Now I just gotta figure out how to do the rest from it. So underneath, I'll show you what I'm working on. It's the downpipe. I'm probably gonna have to take one more cut that's slanted this way and spin it around that way, so the bend starts sooner and I can tuck it up more because it's really close to the ground like that. Wastegate, kind of see it right there. Working on getting it tucked down in there. I'm cutting a straight piece that's got a 4 degree or 4.5, 5 degree cut at the end of it. So I'm gonna try and, it's really hard to reach up with one hand and hold it and feel if everything's touched or not. I'm gonna try and butt it up against, that piece right there and get it lined up enough where I know it can sit and it'd be happy. And then I'm gonna try and tack it, and that should run me straight down to the downpipe, right above the starter, below the starter, but above the downpipe. And then I'm probably gonna try and either turn it that way or turn it that way. So I was working on earlier, figuring out what I was gonna do with my coupler situation here. I don't have another 3-2, but what I did have was an on 3 4-3 elbow, and it came all the way out to about right here probably. So it was really long, but it would run right into the alternator, so it would never work on a truck intake, unfortunately. So what I did was I cut that off there, so a piece of pipe fit in there and I can clamp it. And what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to come with a straight piece out, pie cut, turn it down, come under probably the radiator hose, because I don't know how much room I'm gonna have, if I can come over it or not. And then it's gotta make a crazy bend around. So it's gotta come this way and then turn all the way in to there. I'm having a little random troubles with, I don't know if it's, I've tried placing it differently. I've tried, like you can clearly see like a line right here. It's like the gas isn't hitting it. Like each one has like this weird line. They all have them, and I've tried slowing them down. Like I've tried like just real slow movement, that way it all gets plenty of flow. Gas wise, this one you can see the beginning and then the middle and then the end. Very odd. Those ones, same thing. Like it's, I don't know if it's something I'm doing. I don't have a clue. I'm not a professional. I don't weld. I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just trying different techniques and my hand movements and seeing what comes out. I'm just going down a little bit at a time. Weld, spin, weld, weld, spin, weld, all the way down. Then it'll cool down. I can do it back again and keep moving. So, got her done. Welded up. I got the wastegate, the other 3 pie cuts tacked on there. And I'm gonna see if I can, where I need to put that, mark it, and then start these bends. Plan is I'm gonna try and tuck it right through there. I'll probably have to smack that with a hammer a little bit, but I should be able to fish it through here and out the way. Working on tacking it all up. I don't think I told you guys, but in case you don't know how to do pie cuts, it's fairly simple. So what you'll do is, you can do it by hand, but you know, with a grinder, but it's a little bit harder. You have to make like a paper template to slide over it and mark your lines. Keep sliding, marking, sliding, marking. And then there's a lot of slag, a lot of stuff you have to clean up because the grinder really leaves a lot hanging off in the middle. This isn't so much. I can walk away from this. There's not a lot of heat. I can walk off, work on cleaning up the other bins, positioning them as this is working. So what you want to do is you'll take your piece of tube like so, and what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you'll find the center, so you'll measure, you know, across the top how much it is, find the middle straight across, make 2 lines all the way down 180 from each other. So you'll start with like a flat piece like this, you'll stick it in. You can do 4.5 degrees, 9 degrees. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But so if you do 9 degrees, it takes 10 pie cuts to make 90 degrees. So it's easy math to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now you've made a 90 bend. And 4.5, well, no, hold on. It doesn't take 10, it takes 5. It takes 5 because each side is 9. So you have 9 and 9 is 18. So now takes 5 pie cuts. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4.5 would take 10, because 4.5 is 9 times 10, so 4.5 would be 10. You can go about it other ways. You could do it at 5 degrees, you could do it at 10 degrees, doesn't matter, but those are the easier ones. So then what I like to do is I like to take half of the pipe. So if it's 3 inch, I'll find 1.5 inches. Here I've got marks that you can barely see because all this stuff on them. So I had like 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inch pipe. Might have been 2 inch pipe. So there's the mark there for them. You can't see it over here either. I got to clean all this up. There's the mark for 2.5, and that was like this weird 2.25-ish, 3 inch and 4 inch. So you'll make a mark on each side. So then you'll set your lines up, cut it, spin it 180 degrees, slide it out. You can measure, you know, I like to take and I'll measure from here, measure the, it'll end up being the high side. So I'll measure the high side. I'll be like, okay, I want to come out 2.5 inches. That'll give me a pie cut that's maybe an inch, 1.5 inches by the time it's done. That way they're all the same, or you can just pull it out, slide it, and chop it. They're kind of nice if you're trying to do like weird places and angles and whatnot, because you could literally like just keep spinning them and they'll just start fitting together like puzzle pieces. Once you get down close to each other, you can usually start rotating a couple different ones and it'll just like fall into place and sit up nice and smooth. So kind of makes it easy if you're not good at making things line up 100% perfect and measuring the exact amount of bend you need here to cut. Now fill it with this. You can kind of finagle your way into it a little better. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing the pie cuts. It is tedious, yes. It's just my time that I spend. It's not like I'm spending more money on a bunch of bins. You know, I got flamed because I posted it on I See You Don't Know Shit About Welding Facebook group, and a lot of guys were like, why can't people just use tubing benders? Or they make them for a reason. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna get a tight, crazy bend, especially one back to back. I'm not gonna get a bend and a bend that tight out of a tubing bender. 1, 2, this is Schedule 10. This is some thick stuff. This is not your normal, double of what normal 16 gauge probably is. So the bender I would have to buy would be probably astronomically expensive and stupid, and I would only use it a couple times, like on the golf cart, the V-twin golf cart. It had to literally come out and make like a direct 145 or 100 and whatever. It almost had to kiss its ass to come back around to get around the pulley and a bracket and go back down and snake. I would never get that with a tubing bender. So it's Yeah, people are like, all right, hey, V-Band, did you back purge? If you didn't back purge, oh no, back purge, it's another one. Well, I'm not gonna waste gas to back purge. I've got one tank. I'm not gonna go pay another $200 some for another tank to have the back purge. And then if I use that tank while I'm back purging, I'm just blowing through the gas faster. And it's, I mean, like I told everybody, I remember back when Street Outlaws first, started coming out and Chief was building his Crow, or no, Murder Nova went twin turbo. That's what it was. Murder Nova went twin turbo. This is over a decade ago, probably. He was going twin turbo. Jeff Lutz built him a set of headers to mount some Pro Mod 88s or 90s with big ass, bigger than this, and hang them. And they hung up here, so all the weight was on them, on each side. Set of manifolds. Did not back purge, and he always said the same thing. I don't back purge. It's a waste of time. I don't think it's needed. Blah blah blah. And dude, that car tire shook so bad it would break chassis parts. If it's able to tire shake in a big tire car and break chassis parts, and those manifolds never cracked, and now Billy from Street Racing Channel, he's got those same headers on his Nova. He got them from Murder Nova, and they're on his Nova, still together. So if that thing's had thousands of passes probably on the track, the street, whatever, and that's a lot of heat because that's a lot of power being made by those turbos. That's a lot of exhaust heat and a lot of fucking vibrations and tire shakes. If that's not going to break on that, I'm not going to break it on my daily driver Volvo that I'm going to cruise on the highway, and it's got a brace and the turbo's not big. I'm not going to have that same problem. I don't think it's necessary. Same thing. Oh, you use stainless rod for the cast steel to the stainless. Should have put a V-band. Well, where the V-band is, I'll probably never get this back, the downpipe or the wastegate dump around it. The downpipe beat. So I was like, I put it down lower. Again, the nickel rods are expensive. Plus, I'd have to wait how many days. It was a weekend when I was doing this. So like, I'm not about. I read people are like, I've welded it with these rods, never had a problem. It's been years. So I was like, F it, I'm gonna try it. If it cracks, it cracks. I'll find out the hard way, and then guess what? I'll get some nickel rod and I'll put it back up on there and I'll weld it with some nickel rod. But for the time being, I preheated it, and I went and burned it through good. I might take it off and run one more big good pass across it both sides just to really give it something to grab a hold of. I'm not doing it enough, like I'm not welding enough cast steel stuff to really need to buy some expensive nickel fancy rods. So it is what it is. But like I said, I could have just did like I did the Denali turbo kit and the S10 turbo kit. I could have took scrap pieces of metal I had laying around just from regular exhaust, chop it up, take the flux core welder and just burn the crap in real quick and called it a day. But I want to drive it a lot. This is a heavy turbo. I want it to be sturdy. I want it to be able to drive down the highway in a 9-hour trip and not worry about the vibrations or anything cracking, because this is a big turbo to hang off of something like some 16 gauge or just some regular exhaust. I really think it would crack and have more problems with something this heavy hanging off of it. I would need more bracing, and it's already hard enough to get the bracing in there. So I kind of wanted to do it. I'm making everything myself. I'm gonna cut and weld the pan. I already made the motor mounts, trans, crossmember, all this stuff made. Making everything I can make myself, and I wanted to kind of go ahead and do a somewhat nice, nice-ish stainless hot side and downpipe and whatever I could do myself. I wanted to do it, so this is what I went with. I went Schedule 10. Some people say it's overkill, but I'd rather it be overkill and not worry about it cracking or breaking, hanging this 50 pounds off the front of it, going down the highway to West Virginia or wherever I'm going to go and take the car. So I just wanted to kind of do something nicer and have fun with it, and kind of like test my skills and see where I'm at. Something I could kind of show off. It's going to be wrapped, most of it, but this probably won't be wrapped. But it's one of those deals. It's like I wanted it to kind of be cool and nice, and so when it's done, I can be like, all right, like I did this, I made it all, I welded this, I welded that, I made all this crap myself. Here it is. I'm trying to get this thing done by like March 15th, I think it is. It's Run to the Sun. It's an annual car show. We went the past like 2-3 years. We went every day last year because I was able to. But I would like to be able to drive this thing down there to the Run to the Sun and cruise it, rip some burnouts, have fun. Need to work on the wiring. I gotta bust this wiring harness apart, take out a couple things. I gotta pull the motor back out, weld the mounts, cross member, and I gotta cut and weld the pan, and then make sure the return can go to it. I gotta put the feet on the other side. I gotta finish that piece of intercooler pipe over there. I gotta go to the pick and pull and get me a good 80E, and then order me a jegs converter. Then I've got to get, they make a flange, a yoke flange to weld to the drive shaft that will fit a regular, you know, a U-joint that would work on an 80E yoke. So I've got to get that. I'll probably weld that myself. Who knows how long that rear end will last. So I'm just going to do it myself. Just weld the flange on it for the yoke and then be done. And when the rear end breaks, I'll put an 8/8 in it, and then I'll pay someone to build a drive shaft. Almost done. Just got a couple more spots there and a couple spots on this backside, and she's ready to go in. So we got it started to there. So I'm running out of 3-inch intercooler pipe, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to cut up the intake that came off the H22 that I have for the Civic. I don't know if it would even fit anyways. I'll probably just make my own. I think it's just a K&N. So I'm gonna have to chop this up and use it for little bits and pieces, because I have this, which when I first got the TIG welder, I welded this on just to try. So I'm gonna grind all that down, clean it up, and weld it on correctly. Snake around the battery and snake into that, and then that'll come up and into that, and I'll put the blow-off valve right about here on the top somewhere probably. If I try and come over, I could go under with the radiator hose. Blow-off valve couldn't go there though. On the last little piece, I was able to just cut an elbow out of the intake. It was about perfect. I kind of had to like mark it up from up here and try and get it, but I'm cutting about a 3/8 piece out right now. So this should fit perfectly between it. Schedule 10, I could just leave it and let it go. So let's smooth this out and we'll see what she fits like. Cut it out. One whole piece. Not without troubles though, because like where I've got these two beaded ends kind of put together, it was hard for the tape to grab, and it just like boop, popped off. So I had to put it back on and tape it back up. Now I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna start making my marks all the way down through, and then I'll start cleaning everything up real good. We'll get it tacked together, and then we will work on just fishing it back down in, make sure everything fits, no problems. Then we can take it out and we'll finish weld it. All right, got my first round brush done, wiped with acetone. Now it's time to take brush number 2, go over everything again, wipe with acetone, then brush number 3, go over everything real good, acetone again, then we'll be ready to weld. Alright, so we're finishing up on intercooler piping. Got this side done. Not the best and greatest, most awesome work I've ever done, but it'll work. Look at that. Notice it, but I'm missing the V-band clamp for this, so I don't have the V-band clamp that holds that on, but that will go like so, and it's still tucked up out the way. Headlight still clears, so just clears the alternator, and then of course this radiator hose just clears the intake air temp bung. It'll go right around that, and then here somewhere I'll cut it and put a straight fitting in to hook a 90 into that probably, but for now I just have it chilling there. Let's put a headlight in and see what we're looking like here. issue we might have. Valve. Perfect fit. Alright, so I got that tape just so it'll sit still, cover that hole up. Put this other headlight in. Small box over here just chewing on her booty. Are you okay there, little girl? Say who, me? Still gotta get an oil feed fitting for it. And let's put a grill in this thing. Another one of these, I've lost it somehow. Should have been over there where it was, but if I couldn't find one, I'll have to dig deeper, but I'm sure someone's got some spares out there. So everything fits. So now let's see if we can fit a hood on it. Crawl under here. Gonna shove some stuff in this turn line here. I mean, nothing finds its way in it somehow magically. The plan for the exhaust is it's got to do another pie cut, which will bring it about like that and get me close to over here. And when I get probably right about here, I'm gonna try and do an electric cutout. If they make a 4-inch, it's gonna be a tight fit. But if I could get the 4-inch there and angle it right about here, then I could just dump the 4, neck it down to 3, and then I can try and weave the 3. Probably gonna have to just come straight under like that and out the back. So get to that bridge when we get there. It's been a while since I've added to the board. Kind of got behind, and then I got in the wreck. But today I said I could, I only had to wear my brace in like a real risky times or areas. Like if I go somewhere I might fall down, or I think I might really need it. So going braceless. So this is the list of the new ones I can see, of course. Again, if your stuff is set on private, I cannot see that you're subscribed to me, so I can't add you to the list, because there's far more than just these. I'll go ahead and add these. I'll go ahead and start writing them down, and then we'll go down and get them shout outs. Alright, we'll start at which is the bottom at the top here. The most recent one, we got Leland Wright, Lex Bannister, Tamara Chang, Robert Reese, the McKinsey Family Life, Marcos de Jesus, Joseph Edge, Michael Orr, Destry Fike, what's up guy, Race to Be Won, Donald LeBleu, some sort of Russian Ankropasnak Diskask, some crazy looking stuff. Victor Manuel Malado Gonzalez, Appalachian Hillbilly. Got Jason's World, Cole Burrow, Kyle Clough, Glow Kings X Green, Tara Knudsen, Cyclone Customs, Comp Wiz 878, Mastermind Young 14, XD, Trey Hopkins, Robert Bills, Jason Bennings, Michael Cornett, Your Random PAO, AZ Side, Justin Hill 1528, Christian Miller, Properties for Clients, Sazon, Dennis Pape, Darrell James, Dakota Tales, Heymood _91, and Darren Atkin. Appreciate you guys a lot. This year, I'm going to try and step up my game a little bit. I'm going to try to get more content out, and I'm also going to try to make the content a little better quality and think ahead on what I'm doing. I'm going to try not to just be sporadically trying to do things and, you know, I end up missing half of what I'm doing and things just end up a mess. I'm going to try and think them through a little bit more and try and make them a little more entertaining, or something you want to watch where it's not so boring and it's just, you know, me just going back and forth. So I'm going to try and get some of my own stuff done this year. So I'll work on the Volvo first. I'm going to try and get it in and get it started here beginning of the year. That's the big game plan for that, is to get that done, to be able to start driving it. I'll worry about the AC when the summer gets here and I really need it. But for now, I'd like to get it running. I'd like to get it fired up with the turbo setup, drive around, cruise it, enjoy it a little bit, take it on a road trip or two. You know, I'd love to be able to have it ready in March to go to maybe go to Texas 2K for a day and come back. Just go on a long drive somewhere in it, you know. So that's the big plan on that. And then of course, I need to order the mounts and axles for the hatch. Maybe we'll get that done this year and get the H22 swapped into the hatch. We got Talon's new go-kart. So we got Talon's new go-kart this year also. You got to work on getting it figured out why it's got low compression or why it's turning over so fast. It could be a bent valve or something silly, so that's fingers crossed on that one. So we got Talon's go-kart to get going. We're supposed to work on it, you know, while he's here for break, but we got the flu. All of us unfortunately now do. So got Volvo, get it fired up, get it running, driving, have fun with it. If I can at least swap the diff on the Camaro, get 411s put in it, and have a little bit of fun with it this year. You know, if I could at least do the minimum of that, put a trans bushing in it, the hatch, swap that, H22 swap it, and then, you know, I definitely would like to get everything swapped over to the Trans Am. That would be, you know, the big goal for the summer. But if we could just get those things, I'm gonna try and get you guys some better content this year, try and get things you know, a little better quality, get them put out regularly. I'm gonna try and just stay on top of things. Hopefully motivation this year will be really well. I'll be able to stay on top of it, guys. I know I've kind of slacked off some. I've been busy, and then things have just kind of, you know, with wreck and everything else, things have just went downhill. So I'm hoping things will get better. So I'm gonna get this one pumped out for you guys.